If you're involved in finance or you're checking out finance videos on YouTube, something you're going to come across is the IPO, the initial public offering. Okay, so previously on this channel, I've spoken about what is a private equity fund, and we've learned that one of the ways that they get out of businesses is to IPO them. Another thing we've talked about is M&A, and similar to mergers and acquisitions, the IPO process is incredibly time consuming. It is a heck of a lot of work, and I'm going to take you through some of the reasons why that is. First reason is it's high stakes, right? This is where a private company is going to issue shares in its company to the public for the very first time. In order to do that, it's going to have to meet certain standards to be listed on an exchange as a public company. So you're going to have your house in order. You're going to have contracts absolutely everywhere, ship, shape. We're going to want to see insurance policies. We're going to want to see everything that the business has to offer, and we're going to want to make sure we scrutinize that and tick it off so that the regulators are very, very happy with us. This process alone is going to take several months, but the real planning for it is going to start many years in advance. Luckily for you, by the end of this video, you're going to understand just as much as an investment bank graduate. Okay, I've broken this up into 4 steps, each with their specific processes that we're going to go through under each one. First step is organization and preparation. This is going to last 2 to 4 months generally. The business is actually going to have to select an IPO team, and this is going to consist of investment bankers, lawyers, accountants, and the likes. That's because IPOing is not something that businesses do in the normal business operations, so they're not necessarily experts on it. That's not to say companies always engage investment banks. There are companies that have used in-house teams in order to IPO and direct list on stock exchange. It's slightly different, a bit of a nuance. This is going to focus on the IPO process, the traditional sense where you're engaging an investment bank and a deal team in order to advise you. Then you're going to start getting your house in order, which is actually getting your finances together, preparing management accounts, and preparing to have those initial discussions with the investment bankers. As a group, you're going to determine kind of an initial valuation. Obviously, with an IPO, the market is going to determine the value of your shares. So in order to correctly price your shares to market, you need to have a bit of an idea of what you think it should list at. You also need to think about how it's going to be structured. So you could have different classes of shares. And the next thing is you're probably going to need to tell the organization at some stage. You're going to need to tell some of the management personnel that this is the plan. Now, an IPO can have a lot of benefits for employees, especially if you structure the deal in a way where people can obtain shares before the company goes public. It's also a way for some of the senior managers to exit share positions, so it can unlock a lot of value for various people. Some people will be very, very happy. Other people might be a bit skeptical about it. They might be a bit worried, a bit nervous. So you've got to reassure the organization in order to make sure that the process goes seamlessly. The next stage is due diligence, drafting, and filing. So due diligence, you need to perform underwriter due diligence. Now, an underwriter is someone who will back the deal. So you're looking to sell the shares, obviously. If you can't sell all the shares, the underwriter is obliged to pick them up. So the underwriter is going to do their own due diligence in order to make sure that they're comfortable with backing the deal. Then you're going to file and draft regulatory registrations and the statements. There's some key documents you need to prepare for the transaction, as well as corporate governance documents. Then you also need to start engaging with equity research teams. Now, these are different areas that do due diligence on kind of publicly listed companies in order to come up with buy, sell ratings, which you've probably seen if you're sticking around and doing things in the stock market and personal finance space. So you want to engage with them. Then you might have some comments from, say, the SEC if you're listing in America. And when I say listing, you're listing on an exchange. So that might be the NASDAQ exchange, for example. Either way, you're going to have to respond to any comments from the SEC. Well, you not necessarily you personally, but you might have to, coordinate who's going to do that in the team, whether it goes to the lawyers or whoever else as part of the deal team. When I say you, I mean the deal team. File the amended registration if you need to. Then you can go on the marketing roadshow. Now, this is where the management team sucks up a lot of time because you're going to be going around really selling the deal. So you're meeting with with potential investors, people who might want to buy into the IPO. So you're actually going to need some marketing material. Someone's going to have to put that together. Sometimes it's the investment bankers, and that's where they're starting to do some really incredibly long hours. This process can last like 2 weeks. So you're really going to hit the ground, right? You're going to be moving place to place very quickly, meeting a lot of people, pitching the deal. Then the investment bank is going to actually build the order book. So they're starting to receive some indicative bids from those investors, trying to put the deal together, price it all up. They build this order book. It's all very exciting, a very fun place to be working in. And then finally, you get to the pricing and allocation. So the investment bank actually prices the offering and then allocates the shares to investors. And finally, they close the deal and you're a publicly listed company and your shares will trade in the open market. From there, there's a whole bunch of things you need to do now that you're a public entity, including reporting and making sure that you have this continuous disclosure of... Anyway, so that's it. So organization prep, due diligence and filing, marketing roadshow, pricing and allocation. And that's the rough process to actually IPO a company. If you want me to go into any of the specifics, drop a comment below, hit the thumbs up, also subscribe. It really helps. I'm just trying to build this channel. So if you like this content, it's really useful for me to get some feedback. I hope you enjoyed it. You can check out some of my other videos, and if not, I'll see you next time.